Let's just skip right ahead to the brass tacks here. The scorecards are polarizing. A lot of people, obviously everyone recognizes a very close fight. What did Adam Martin's scorecard say?
My official scorecard that you could see on MMADecisions.com, I scored it 48-47 Jon Jones. I gave him the last 3 rounds of the fight. I rewatched that was when I was live in the audience. I rewatched the fight last night on TV, and the fight was razor close, Carlin. It really was. And the first 3 rounds, I think you can make an argument that Gustafsson won the first 3 rounds. And, you know, me and James Lynch, I know he's listening to the show right now, we did our podcast yesterday, The Party Shot, and I said that I think that Glover Teixeira should be the next guy in line. After rewatching the fight, I think that Gustafsson deserves a rematch. I think that they have to do it. I think the fight was that close, and I think that he has what it takes to beat Jon Jones. I think in a rematch he can use his takedowns, which surprised the hell out of me. By the way, I thought Jones' wrestling was really better than that. It didn't look good at all. I think Gustafsson can be the guy that takes the title. I think he can use his wrestling, use his angles, use his footwork. The guy's a stud, man. The guy's an absolute stud. Pressed the hell out of me the other night, and like Dana White said, even though he lost the fight, his stock rose way up.
Oh, absolutely. If there's such a thing as a moral victory, Alexander Gustafsson has it. There's way more people talking about Alexander Gustafsson as a result of his performance, even in defeat, as they would have been otherwise. Gustafsson, he had kind of the rep of being rushed into this title shot, but showed that he deserved it. And I was just absolutely shocked, as you were, that he was able to shrug off Jones with ease. I texted you during the fight that Gustafsson is neutralizing Jon Jones. I did not see that coming at all. I had the fight 48-47, Alexander Gustafsson. I gave Gustafsson the first 3 rounds of the fight, but I'm not crying robbery. Like you said, that was a razor close fight, and I'm with you. I think there needs to be a rematch. It's almost Randy Couture, Pedro Hizzo-esque, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, yesterday when me, like a couple hours after the fight, when me and James recorded the podcast, I said that, you know, he lost the fight. Let someone else have a chance. But like I said, we watched the fight and it was that close, man. And I really do think that you can make the argument he won the first 3 rounds of the fight. So I want to see the rematch. And, you know, I know that I went back on what I said yesterday, James. I know you're listening to the show, but, you know, I think you're right, buddy. I think there does need to be a rematch here. I think the fight was that close. I think that Gustafsson is the #1 contender. I think he's the next guy I think he's the next best guy in the division. And, you know, I want to see Glover get that shot. I want to see Phil Davis get a shot. I want to see Cormier get a shot. But I think that of any of the guys, I think Gustafsson might have the best chance of beating Jon Jones, and he almost did it on Saturday night.
Does this bring a new layer of luster to the 205-pound division, which is traditionally UFC's biggest moneymaker, but has kind of fallen off in the Jon Jones era for whatever reason?
I think so, because he was so dominant during his run, you know, the last couple of years, just destroying veterans like Machida and Rampage and Rashad, Shogun, all the veterans, Vitor, I mean, Chael Sonnen, all the big name fighters. But like you said, I mean, this guy Gustafsson is a guy that, you know, he was in some ways a little bit unknown. I mean, we've seen him fight many times, but you know, I don't think we ever saw him fight like this, and I don't think anyone expected him to look that good. I mean, he's been out since last December. And I think the last 9 months or so, I mean, he's really worked on his wrestling with Phil Davis. It was pretty clear, and his striking has got even better, too. I mean, this guy's angles, man, like, ridiculous. His boxing's so good. And this is the thing, you know, Jon Jones, honestly, like, I think he got exposed in the fight, Carlin. He got exposed. I mean, his wrestling against guys his own size, it's not as dominating as it was when he was fighting bloated middleweights like Vitor and Chael. And he has very little punching power. I think the thing that won him the fight literally was that spinning elbow in the 4th round. That turned the fight on a dime. And it was funny because you can even ask Sean this. I'm sitting there with Sean and I'm like, Sean, he's losing the 4th round. He's going to lose this fight. And I'm like, Sean, he's going to start using the elbows. And a minute later, he throws a spinning elbow and you know, he takes over the fight there. So I think it's Jon Jones' unorthodox style of striking and just his creativity that won him that fight. But I think that, you know, as far as pure striking goes, you know, although he does have good leg kicks, Gustafsson's a better striker, I think.
Gustafsson's boxing looked fantastic. He was really working off that jab really well. And it's funny because everyone was so sick of hearing about, you know, oh, Gustafsson, he's as tall as Jon Jones. His reach is almost as big. You know, it became the key selling point on the fight. But in the end, that's what wound up making the matchup, so to speak, with Gustafsson being able to just neutralize Jon Jones in that fashion. We have never seen Jon Jones have to fight off the back foot, so to speak. But Jon Jones looked extremely flat-footed against Alexander Gustafsson.
You know, I kind of feel as though, and I'm not taking anything away from Gustafsson's performance here, but I feel as though Jones kind of overlooked him a bit. You know, we heard him talk in the media the last couple of weeks saying that, you know, Gustafsson is nothing for me. You know, I'm superior to this guy in every facet of the game. You know, he was discrediting his striking a lot. He said that, you know, Gustafsson's striking defense is awful, and he said that his boxing is overrated. Well, you know, I think Jon Jones is going to watch that tape, and he's going to realize he was wrong about that. And I think he's going to, you know, I think I even said it, you know, when Rogan interviewed him that, you know, being in a fight that razor thin, like, he's going to really let a fire under his ass and motivate him to work even harder in the gym, which is scary because the guy's already the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. But I honestly do think that, you know, he got exposed a little bit in this fight, Carlin, and I think that one thing that he doesn't have is he doesn't have punching power, man. You know, I know that they've talked about, you know, Mike Winklejohn said that, you know, it'll come, and he does have, you know, he has knocked guys out in sparring and stuff like that, but, you know, in his fights in the UFC, he's never, you know, really rocked a guy with, like, one straight shot. It's always been, like, takedowns and then elbows, and like I said, it's unorthodoxism, but I don't know, man. I think that's something that's going to hamper him going forward a little bit. I mean, it's still hard to say who's going to beat this guy, but like that lack of the one-punch knockout power that guys like Chuck had and, you know, Shogun have, like, that's something that most of the 205ers have had, the champions have had in the history of the UFC, and he doesn't really have that.
Is Gustafsson's key to winning a rematch just focusing on his cardio? Because I got to think, you know, even though Jones landed that spinning elbow, which, like you say, could completely turn the fight around, I got to think if Gustafsson's gas tank is just a bit bigger and he can come out on round 5 and put a little bit more of a stamp on it, then he's wearing that gold right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the thing. I was talking to people about this. You know, he's never been in a 5-round fight, if I'm not mistaken, before. So, I mean, that was a big issue. Jones had been in 5-round fights. He fought Sean Evans 5 rounds. He went 4 rounds with Vito and with Rampage. So he had that experience of going 20, 25 minutes. Alexander Gustafsson in Sweden, they can't fight more than 15 minutes. So he's never had that experience. He's never had a main event in the UFC, I don't believe. So, sorry, he had the one main event Thiago Silva, but again, it was in Sweden, so it was 15 minutes. So I think that that's definitely something he has to work on a little bit because he definitely got tired. But I think it's just part of his style, man. I think that, you know, I rewatched the fight again, like I said, and he used a lot of movement in the first couple rounds, like a lot of circling. That's what he does in all his fights. But I think he just kind of, like you said, ran out of gas a little bit in the 4th and 5th, and it definitely hurt him. But still, man, I mean, what a performance was. I'm still getting goosebumps from the fight.
Yeah, it was a fantastic fight, quite possibly fight of the year, quite possibly one of the greatest light heavyweight title fights of all time. Just an incredible effort by both gentlemen.